Sorry. I gotta apparently sit way back here so the light doesn't blow me out. Today's live stream is about fuck cancer. Yeah, 'cause fuck cancer. Well, welcome to another motherfucking live stream. Maybe I got my shit together today. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Anyways, today's kind of I wasn't gonna live stream today. I was just gonna do a normal motherfucking daily vlog. But then I started coming across some significant, news and articles about ketogenic diet, low carb, and intermittent fasting. So today I'm going to kind of give my thoughts and opinions on these subjects and show you some of the articles, the links to which are in the motherfucking description. So, enjoy that. Hold on, I'm fucking doing a little bit of prep here while I'm talking. But today's show is brought to you by all my motherfucking contributors on Patreon, by all the people that donate to Super Chat here on the live streams directly, and to all the people who like, watch, and subscribe and sit through motherfucking ads while they're still there. And they are still there, from what I can tell, even with the yellow fucking icon. So, all of you make it possible for me to take the time necessary to read these fucking articles and to, talk about them on here. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you. You can go to my Patreon link and for $1 a month get my daily blog and access to a Patreon-only live stream and so on and so forth. I'll be updating some higher tier stuff. I got some other things coming down the pipe for that. But that's where you can go to do that. Welcome everybody in the chat. I got a lot of my chat regulars, including the guy responsible for the music you just heard, Wes Derrickson. He, occasionally helps me out with some music for the channel. So, that's kind of where we're at. I wanted to show more beard today because some asshole said that my self-appearance dysphoria is because I have a fucking beard, and, that's what I think about people who tell me to shave my beard. Anyways, on to the big motherfucking news. Now, hold on, because, I'm kind of fucking up here. Let's see here. There we go. So, this is the big news. Sugar feeds cancer, making it harder to fucking treat, according to a breakthrough study. Some Dutch motherfuckers have been exploring for the past 9 years the Warburg effect. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, in 1920-ish, Dr. Warburg noticed that cancer cells burn and metabolize glucose primarily as their energy stores. That's carbs for all of you motherfuckers keeping score. And they don't produce a lot of energy in the process, mainly because they're probably using that to multiply and proliferate. That other thing where shit fucking grows and shit. So, that's called the Warburg effect. And there's been intriguing studies. There's been studies in animals with cancer where they put them on a highly ketogenic diet, which also happens to be what dogs should be fucking eating anyway, and showed remarkable progress and reduction, or at the very least stopping the growth of malignant fucking cancer. But on the 13th or 16th or whatever, this study from the Dutch came out, and it identified how sugar, traps cancer in this vicious cycle, making it more aggressive and harder to fucking treat. So it makes it grow and shit. So what does this mean for us? What is this new fucking study? The links to some of this shit's in the description. You can, of course, Google this shit too. But what does it mean for cancer? What does it mean for the future of cancer? Now, I wanted to point out a few things that, you could look up. Of course, you have this article here, which kind of summarizes. I found, this article was mediocre on dailymail.co, but I really enjoyed this article by Fortune, which really does break it down. I didn't put the link in the description, but you can just Google fortune.com cancer link study. And it really gives you a nice laid out explanation, because if you go read the actual study, it's very, very science intensive, and if you're not a fucking biochemist, it's fucking, it's not going to be hard. It's not an easy read. I couldn't follow all of it. I really had to read the summaries and the cliff notes, and even those were very intense in the way they describe stuff. But basically, the gist of it is cancer cells go through a process called glycolysis, where they take the energy in glucose form and they utilize it to grow and pro-fucking-liferate and, expand. And that is how our cancer grows in us. Now, that's not the cause of cancer necessarily. There are other factors, genetics, bad food, pesticides, smoking, watching excessive internet porn. Could be any number of causes for cancer, but the important thing is that glucose is the primary and only fuel that the damaged mitochondria on a fucking cancer cell can metabolize. Cancer cells can't use ketones. And if we continue to, look into the Warburg effect, if you look down here, let me zoom in and shit, and come down here to this part right here, if I can. High glucose levels have been shown to accelerate cancer cell proliferation in fucking vitro, while glucose deprivation has led to apoptosis, Okay, so I can't pronounce these big fucking words, but I know what this is. That is cell death. As in, glucose deprivation of cancer cells encourages the motherfuckers to die. So you can kill cancer by lowering your glucose levels. Imagine that. Now, keep in mind, we can't go to like 0 glucose levels, or even 30. It would be very difficult to get our blood glucose level down to that level. So there is always going to be enough glucose to leave some live cancer cells in your ass. But when you lower your glucose level, aka you replace your glucose with ketones, the cancer cells can't fuck with the ketones. So they can't grow. It's the equivalent of not eating enough calories for your muscles to grow. It's the same thing for fucking glucose when it comes to cancer cells. So if you are low carb and ketogenic, before you get cancer, we all probably have cancer cells in us. I believe that. I believe most of us in today's society, maybe not back in the day, but nowadays, or maybe even back in the day, they just never saw it as much. We all have cancer. It's whether or not we provide an environment for those cancer cells to grow and get out of control to the point where, in order to get glucose, it consumes our tissues and organs. I'm sure if you know somebody that has died from cancer, as I have, you watch them waste away towards the end. And the reason for that wasting is the cancer has become so dominant in their body that it needs that glucose to continue its life cycle and its growth. So it starts forcing you to, it starts eating the cells around it. It starts using the energy from the surrounding cells and breaking that down. And it's fucking horrible. It's a bad way to go. And the fact that we're starting to make breakthroughs in research that will drive us down the path to perhaps one day, at the very least, make cancer kind of a remission type situation to where, well, you identify something and maybe you can put yourself in a condition to stop it from growing. Or, as a preventative measure, eating a high fat, low carb diet faithfully will help prevent or reduce your risk of that cancer growing at some point. And to further illustrate this, I very separately, because the Inuits, the only population I can think of that we have data for prior to the 20th century and going forward, and they ate virtually no carbs. So what was their fucking cancer rate like? And there are actual studies and, of this population and the history of this population. And let me just read some of that shit. Inuit people inhabit the circumpolar region, that's north of Canada, or northern Canada and Alaska and shit. Although malignant diseases were believed to be almost non-existent in Inuit populations during the beginning of the 20th century, that's not that fucking long ago, where they were eating their traditional diet, which included almost 0 fucking carbohydrates. The only carbs they got was the fucking glycogen in the meats that they were eating, which they didn't prefer. They preferred the fats and organs, but that's a whole other story. The increasing life expectancy within these populations showed a distinct pattern characterized by high risk Epstein-Barr associated carcinomas and so on and so forth. Basically it goes on during the second half of the 20th century. They underwent major lifestyle and living conditions that changed them. I.e., they adopted more and more of our fucking shitty diet, which included a shit ton of carbs, which they were not genetically prone to be able to metabolize efficiently. And I would argue majority of humanity is still not adapted in that way. And motherfuckers started smoking too. So, they basically did something that put more carcinogens into their body that created the initial cancer cells, and then, damaged the mitochondria, made them want to grow and shit, and then gave them the food those cells needed to grow and proliferate, thereby increasing the amount of cancer in that society. So you're seeing a transformation here over time as they became more carb loaded and they did more of the shitty lifestyle choices that we have made to create the cancer situation we have today. So, let me make sure that, okay, sorry. So that's kind of, where we're at with the cancer, and I have kind of been, stroking you guys periodically about, the fact that the ketogenic diet and fasting are both remarkable ways to fight cancer. Not just when you already have been diagnosed, but I believe there is a significant preventative value to eating a ketogenic diet and fucking fasting. And it pisses me off because I see so many people with cancer out there. I know people. I've lost people to this disease. People who are very close. I have some PTSD because of it. I watched my father die to cancer. Stomach cancer, no less, and throat cancer. And he was pumping sugary shit into his stomach. That was the treatment. His throat cancer, he couldn't fucking eat and taste it, and he just kept eating his food through a tube directly into his stomach, and then got stomach cancer. Imagine that. And the shit he was pumping in there had sugar and carbs in it. No, it was not a high-fat, low-carb shake. It was a high-carb, low-fat shake that he was pumping directly into his stomach. And it pisses me off. Because we knew the basic fucking premise back in the 1920s, and we're just now starting to fucking research it. We're just now getting to the point where we can fucking say, hey, yeah, well, maybe there's something to this whole fact that fucking cancer cells can't metabolize ketones and use glucose inefficiently with their damaged fucking mitochondria to proliferate and grow. So what can we do about that? What does this mean going forward? This means that we can start taking steps right now in our personal lives to prevent this shit, to get out of this cycle of constant cancer and disease that we're in. We've already addressed the fact that a ketogenic diet and fasting can reverse and stop diabetes in its tracks, put it in complete remission because, you're genetically prone to insulin resistance to begin with. You've built more insulin resistance throughout the years. You don't necessarily reverse all of that right away, but I'm starting to see progress in that arena. The long term, the longer you stay carb and sugar free and alcohol free in that case, and the more you heal your fatty liver, you can probably reverse a lot of the insulin resistance. But this is also showing that as our population is more and more pre-diabetic, not just diabetic, but as our blood sugar levels are higher, 130s and 140s being supposedly normal when you're fed, I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. I think we're above where we're supposed to be because I do believe that we shouldn't be consuming 50% or 60% of our diet as carbs, or in some cases 80 and 90% if you go the fruitarian fucking route. So, that's one of the key things that we're addressing here, along with diabetes and heart disease and clogging your arteries, is giving cancer cells, which we're probably all carrying around at this point. The vegetable oils probably provide it. The way we cook our food probably puts carcinogens in our system that cause these genetic mutations to occur. But then we're feeding the motherfuckers so they grow. And we need to cut that shit out, or at very least reduce it to the point to where we don't get cancer until we're elderly. And even then, I still don't think that's how I want to go out. If I had to choose between a fucking grabber and cancer, I would choose the fucking grabber. But, so this knowledge that I'm sharing with you today that is out there, that we are researching, we are going to experiment with, you can start today and prevent yourself from getting cancer. Is it a guarantee? No, but I contend if you look at the Inuit who mastered the art of never eating fucking carbs and sugar, there was no sugar up there. What do you think? There's fucking bees in the fucking Arctic? You know, the sweet fucking shit that they ate was when they got to eat, you know, the liver where all the fucking glycogen was stored probably. So, you know, and that's probably not that sweet because there ain't no fructose in it. It's all glucose. So, you know, you got to keep that in mind. We're way overdoing it on carbs and sugar. Even if you're eating healthily, you're still eating a lot of breads and grains and pastas and, you know, just really hammering on our carbs. Now, I'm not saying no carb is necessarily the only way, because there are societies that do consume a healthy level of carbs. But you know what they don't do? They don't fuck up their glycemic control as much. They do not consume massive amounts of sugar. They consumed like rice and those kind of carbs. So, yeah, there could be a happy medium depending on how fucked up you are. But a lot of us are way fucked up. And we're not showing good glycemic control. And if we were to measure our insulin levels instead of our blood glucose levels, we would see how pre-diabetic we really are. And where do you think that insulin's going to carry that extra blood sugar? Even if it does it efficiently still, it's going to take it right to those fucking cancer cells, and they're going to utilize it to grow and proliferate. One of the treatments that has been looked at over the past 10 years is combining chemotherapy, which kills cells, with a full-on, you know, clinical ketogenic diet, carbs below 5% of your intake, to help fight and destroy cancer. And there have been anecdotal results from that theory. What I think this study's gonna fucking do is it's going to allow us to conduct more human studies where we specifically address people, A, with cancer, who haven't quite got further along yet, see if we can stop it, nip it in the bud. We might also study humans that have, you know, advanced forms of cancer, who may have already be researching this shit and trying it on themselves anyway, because I know I would. I would immediately lead off with a 30-day fast if I got diagnosed with cancer. You know? But I'm already fasting anyway, so I think I might be out of the water on this one. I can't guarantee it because I did feed those motherfucking cancer cells my entire fucking life. It's only the past 2.5 years that I've really started attacking the issue. So I can't say that I'll be cancer-free, but I'm damn sure going to make it hard for them motherfuckers to grow in my body. You know, and you should too. And if you have a loved one or a friend that has cancer, you need to turn them on to this fucking research. You need to get them the knowledge that they need to make the decision that they want. And some of them won't be able to do it still because of the addictive qualities of sugar and carbs, or they might be afraid to really fucking go off of whatever the current medical dogma is for cancer treatment. But give them the tools necessary. So what's the next thing that could also come from this? You know, the pharmaceutical industry. They could fucking get on the horn, you know, and find a way to target, you know, by giving you some drug that's going to fuck you up in another way and take all your money, and give you a target to where it can go to the cancer cells and keep those cells from absorbing sugar and carbs and growing. That's a possibility too. Hey, it's better than, you know, nothing. I mean, there are going to be people that just can't go full keto, and they might turn to drugs as a crutch, just like you have diabetics that can't figure out to go full keto, so they turn to the drugs that treat more of the symptoms and less of the insulin resistance, but keep them alive for another, you know, 10, 20 years while sucking all the money out of the bank for the drugs, which also have other effects. So that's coming down the pipe. So I guess the important thing, and don't worry, you guys, I see the comments are going nuts. I'm going to have a period where I talk at the end and go through like I normally do in my live streams. But I just want to get through these articles and shit. So you just got to kind of keep in mind, you know, as we go down this weight loss journey, it is not just about aesthetics. It's not just about looking good, you know, and seeing the numbers on the scale. There are distinct health benefits. Even if we don't meet 100% our weight loss goals, we are putting ourselves in a position to reduce our risk of these diseases, which are killing the fuck out of us because of our diet and lifestyle. And the deeper we get into this, I've come a lot further in this than I ever predicted. I predicted I was going to standard American diet and fast my way to health. It's not the case. I've learned that the hard way. I have to address the bad foods I've been eating. I have to address the level of sugar and alcohol I've been consuming over the years. And as I do that more and more, I start to see these new little benefits that I get in energy, in cognitive function, in mood stabilization. You know, these are all benefits that I'm going through the deeper I go towards the getting the sugar and the carbs and the alcohol under control in my life. Does that mean I'll never eat a fucking carb again? Fuck no. There's going to be a day here and there, very spaced out, where I might indulge. But that ain't going to be enough to move the needle that much. But for the majority of my time, I will make ketogenic and fasting my lifestyle, my default choice. And once you start doing that, you start not enjoying those carb ups as much and being less inclined to even do them. So that's pretty much where we're at. You know, and I recommend that you follow the links that I've already put in the description and read up on this a little bit. Especially you science nerdy motherfuckers that are really good with biochemistry, you might want to check out the actual study, which is right here. You know, there's an abstract. It talks about, you know, the genetic component that, you know, fructose biphosphate something or other fucking activates RAS, which triggers the glucose growth defect and so on and so forth. It's very, very, very science heavy and biochemistry heavy, you know, the study. So, you know, try and find multiple interpretations of the study and people that explain it, kind of like that other article or articles like this that kind of, you know, on Science News and ScienceDaily.com, which often takes the, you know, and tries to explain it in a little bit more, less sciencey way, but still pretty sciencey. Or you can go to the mainstream media and get their dumbed down interpretation. And like I said, that article by, what was it, Forbes? What was the fucking article? I should probably show you guys. There we go. So, you know, this article here by Fortune, you know, which is weird. Isn't Fortune like a financial magazine? You know, I thought was a good summary of the study, you know, and the history and so on and so forth. And try and just kind of make sense of it. Look into these different, you know, societies and that we have data on that are low carb, high fat, that have shown that they do not have the metabolic diseases, and cancer is a metabolic disease in my book, given this data, given the Warburg effect, the fact that it is a mitochondrial issue that causes these fucking cancer cells to proliferate while not, you know, really producing a lot of energy in the process. They consume energy and grow, and that's pretty much their job. They don't do anything else productive in the body. And you got to get out there and increase your knowledge and fucking awareness, you know? Here's that article from Science Daily, which summarizes it in a more consumable way, but still quite science heavy. Or you can go straight on fucking biochemistry, read the actual study yourself, look at the data. I'm not smart enough for this shit. I didn't go to college for biochemistry, so I can't follow a lot of this. And it's so science heavy, it's hard to even dip into interpretations. I mean, I didn't even see any fucking interpretations in this whole fucking article. Maybe the discussion might, you know, it's looking pretty science heavy too. So, you know, if you are good at that shit, read the fucking thing and you'll see. And that's exciting. So, Now the next thing that I wanted to take note of today and that I've been seeing a lot is fasting becoming fucking mainstream. It's becoming a thing in a little bit of a fucked up way. How is it being brought up in a little fucked up way? Well, anybody that's been researching fasting for a long time has come across Dr. Walter Longo. Now, Dr. Walter Longo, to his credit, is doing real actual science to back his shit up. However, he's putting his results in how to do these things with the fasting mimicking diet, which is a crutch for people who just can't fast, in my book. And it's monetizing fasting to a degree, which who the fuck thought that was possible? So I'm not a huge fan of Dr. Walter Longo. However, the science and papers he's publishing are legit. And you'll see him in some of the more popular fasting documentaries out there. And this motherfucker right here, this whole article on mainstream media is pimping out the fasting mimicking diet and kind of minimizing just the not fucking eating all the time. You know, and that's the trend that we're going to see these trends pop up with the ketogenic diet too. I'll get to that in a minute. Where motherfuckers are monetizing it in some way. Something that you can do for fucking free. You can do this for free in your life. It doesn't cost fucking money. There is no supplement you need to buy. You can do this entirely with diet. I haven't gone to fucking GNC. I haven't ordered fucking supplements from Amazon. I haven't gone down to Walmart in the fucking pharmacy section to see what vitamins and minerals to pump into my ass. I am just eating, fasting, keeping my carbs under 50 grams per day, keeping my fat intake up with healthy fats, a lot of dairy fats, which true diehard ketos are kind of against, and paleo is completely against, and paleo keto is completely against. I do some artificial sweetener action, but not the bad ones, in my opinion. I'm doing the least, detrimental ones. So I'm not a clean keto, but I'm keto enough. I am in fat burning mode. I am fat adapted. I can run all my shit on my fat if I need to. I can fast for long periods of time without getting as hungry as I used to. These are all signs that I'm fat adapted, and I didn't have to go on some fucking paywall diet by Dr. Walter Longo. I didn't have to buy this new keto product that has been popping up in mainstream commercials that pisses me off every time I see it, because it is basically you eat this fucking shake, this keto 30 shit, and then after you're done drinking that shit, you go ahead and eat low carb the rest of the day. So basically, it's probably a fat shake with mostly fat, maybe a little bit of protein and amino acids and some other shit. And then you're going to go ahead and eat your carbs, your healthy carbs, low carb, vegetables, greens, and some meat for the rest of the day. When you don't need to do that, you could just have some fat in the morning. I do it through heavy cream in my coffee, but some people want to do the bulletproof shit or the, MCT oils and that kind of stuff. And MCT oil is a thing that it does help promote ketosis a lot more efficiently than, say, butter or heavy cream does. But, they're going to start trying to monetize this because they see the writing on the fucking wall. That sugar is bad, carbs are bad, we overconsume these things, and the pendulum is going to start swinging the other way, and any food company or supplement or fitness industry company that isn't on this fucking ball when it's swinging the other way is going to get left behind for a little while. The thing is, I don't think that once the pendulum swings and we start seeing all these health benefits, cancer going away, fucking diabetes going away, heart disease becoming all late life issues that happen once again when you're elderly and not in your fucking 20s, 30s, and 40s, that is the point where these motherfuckers will have to be like, well, we got to keep trying to monetize this shit. And that leads to my minimalism and all of that. You know, my minimalism fucking brain is going, look, I ain't paying for this shit. This is shit we used to do in the hunter-gatherer days, and it was fucking free of charge. I'm damn sure not gonna buy shit and special shakes and protein shakes and all of this fucking supplement shit to make this shit happen, when I can just simply not eat for fucking 36 hours, and look at that. All the health benefits right there on paper. Human growth hormone up. Full access to my body fat, burning off shit that I put on for the past couple days while I ate. And you do gain weight while you eat keto, just not the same way you do when you eat carbs. You know, it's about maintaining is what ketogenic is for. You lose weight in the beginning because you've been overeating carbs all this time and sugar. But once you're down and once you get to a normalized body weight, whatever your set point may be, we're all a little different in that area, you're going to find that you won't be able to move the needle too much further down. At least not quickly. I'm finding that over a long, lengthy period of time, you do move the needle down slowly, very slowly. The end of that curve is pretty fucking level, you know, with occasional drops. But, yeah, quit paying for the shit. You know, you don't need to buy any products. You don't. Now, some people like that. Some people like supplements. I get comments all the time. Have you tried this supplement? Have you tried that supplement? You know, and some of you do get really picky with the fats, you know, and the MCT oils and the things that supposedly boost and show a marginal, maybe, improvement in the efficiency of you being in ketosis, or maybe you get higher ketone levels. I contend that you're starting to get into that point when you do that the benefits aren't necessarily in line with the amount of extra money and time you're spending doing these things, when all you have to do is just get rid of the fucking carbs and eat enough fat and get all of your calories. Don't be in a caloric deficit, because that's when your metabolism starts going down. We use fasting instead of a low-calorie diet. Lengthen the time between the last time you eat and the next time you eat is a lot different in how the body works from just caloric reduction. And you can look to the Minnesota starvation experiment if you want to see what a very low-calorie diet, or even just keeping your calories about 500 to 600 lower than on a daily basis what your body burns, the effect that will have over time on you. So that's my spiel for today. Lots of good news, I think, that we're on to this, that the media is catching on, and that maybe the, you know, fly-by Facebook motherfuckers and, you know, the health industry and the nutrition industry and the fitness community will get more and more on board. I'm seeing a lot more mainstream rumblings in this department, not everywhere, and I'm going to keep pointing out the times when I don't and how fucked up it is. That's part of what triggers me. And we definitely need to keep this going, you know. So now I'm going to, for those of you, that's my spiel for this video. I'm going to cut us off at around an hour today, and I'm going to go to the comments now. I'm not going to scroll back because that shit's been going nuts. So if I missed your earlier comments, now is the time. I'm going to start with what's on my screen now and scroll down from there. If you have a question, comment, or you would like to put your 2 pennies into the pot, I'm going to randomly pick from the comments. Super chats, of course, will get priority, so if you absolutely have to have a fucking question, then throw a little fucking money in the tip jar, and I'll make sure I answer that. But other than that, I'm just going to randomly pick from what I see here. Jody Henry, I heart pork rinds. Great for breading chicken. Yes, I do pork rinds as well. It's kind of my potato chip supplement. I like to dip them in French onion dip, which has a little bit of carbs, but not too many. And to me, that satisfies my savory, salty snack and also gets my sodium up. So definitely a thing there. So... Paul Smart, Even Fung says bone broth is mainly to increase compliance. I do believe bone broth is not a supplement. It's something that you can make for free over a long, lengthy period of time. You can even buy it pre-done, but be careful because sometimes people, grocery stores fuck with that. But it does provide you a good source of electrolytes and minerals. And if you have some bone broth soup and maybe put some cheese in that motherfucker, make some kind of fondue or shit, I would say that'd be a pretty nice addition to any keto meal and provide you with the electrolytes and shit you need, and you don't have to go down to the fucking GNC and buy all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, Mike T.O., I wouldn't waste money on coconut oil and MCT oil. That's kind of a true story. I do find I buy coconut oil and then I don't fucking ever use it. It sits in the goddamn thing because most of the fat that I'm getting is coming from cheese, coming from dairy sources, which a lot of people take a shit on. And if you love dairy like I do, I love cheese, I love heavy cream. Heavy cream is my favorite thing to put in coffee. Not butter, not coconut oil where you gotta blend the shit. I just pour some motherfucking heavy cream, stir that shit in, put a little bit of my artificial sweetener, and I often use that as a dessert. It gives me a little bit of sweet at the end of my fucking meal and a lot of satisfying fat. You can also use it as a fasting mimicking diet, as in while you're fasting, you can put heavy cream, fat only, no carbs, no protein. No protein's key there because protein does kick you out of autophagy. You won't be burning your own fat while you're burning that fat. You will get a slight elevation in insulin, very slight, insignificant in the grand scheme of things. So it does make weight loss a little less efficient, but at the same time, it will keep you from being hungry during a very long fast. So I'm all for doing fat only as a crutch, within a 600 calorie limit, I would say. That kind of keeps you in that every other day diet range when it comes to fasting. It's generally in the morning that I consume most of my coffee. Occasionally in the evenings I'll have a coffee. And a lot of times if I'm out and I can't find heavy cream and all that's available is half and half, I'll sit there and I'll fucking just drink black coffee. Which is always an option too. And honestly, fasts with just black coffee and water are still the most efficient. You get the most health benefits. And if you are really trying to hammer home, avoid eating any calories. Stick with unsweetened tea, black coffee, and water during your fasting periods. Only do the bone broth if you're having symptoms. You can either break the fast when you get the symptoms, or you can just break the fast with some bone broth and then continue. I don't advise doing that too much. Honestly, when your body's telling you your fast is over, you should probably just break the fast. As far as you're experiencing heavy cramping, you feel like a bag of shit, your energy levels are tanked, and your metabolism's dropping. These are all signs that maybe you didn't prepare properly for the fast, or maybe you're not efficiently fat burning, which can happen if you're doing the standard American diet and doing long fasts. The more fat adapted you become, the more electrolytes you're holding on to while being fat adapted, the smoother those longer fasts will go. And they provide a lot of important benefits to your health, including starving the shit out of cancer. We can put that on the list now. That's going in with all the other shit that fasting and keto does. So we're totally keeping that shit. I'm running with that shit. They got science and shit. And hopefully this triggers more studies to this degree. That's a big fucking step in research right there. It'll be a while before it trickles down to the masses. But it's nice that that's out there with all the other, alternative cancer treatments that are out there nowadays. That one is a big one, a significant one. And it's important, it's very important. We can't just fucking gloss that shit over. Alrighty. Jody Henry, fasting is free, motherfuckers. That's a true story. Big D, is the 5-2 fast okay? 5-2 fasts at this point, for me, I don't think would do shit. I think I would gain weight. If you're ketogenic, I'd say maybe, yeah. Depending on how metabolically fucked up you are, how far along you are in your weight loss. If you're at the lower end and you're trying to lose that last 10 to 15 pounds like I have been working on for the past fucking 6 to 8 months. Has it been 6 months since because I did regain at one point eating standard shit. You know, actually, no, it's more like 9 or 10 months. Sorry. It was around January, February where I got back on the horse, so to speak, with, you know, fasting more aggressively and keto adaptations and whatnot. So I would say 5-2 would be a good, if you're full keto, a good maintenance protocol. But honestly, you're going to, if you're doing keto right and you're not cheating, you don't even need to do 5-2 to maintain your weight loss. You're not going to lose weight with 5-2, I don't think, later in the game. You will in the beginning. If you're just starting out, 5-2 is a good, you know, first step towards later fasts. But, you know, as time goes on and you hit those plateaus and your weight loss drastically slows down, 5-2 just isn't going to cut it. Daily 23s, 1 meal a day might still work for you at that point. But I think you find when you do a ketogenic diet, if you're doing it right and you're not in a caloric deficit, you're eating when you are hungry and you're eating till you are full, you will generally only get hungry once a day, especially if you train yourself in the beginning to do that. By doing 1 meal a day, I think you'll find you don't get hungry till dinner time every day. And you can efficiently eat a nice big keto meal every day, you know, and maybe just eat fat during the rest of the day. Just have fat in your coffee in the morning and you'll get through most of your day at high energy. And then you'll get a little hungry around the 21 to 23 hour mark, which I've done that on the standard American diet with proper fasting training. So whatever fasting protocol you're using, Big D, that's currently working for you, stick with it till it stops working. Don't fuck with shit that's working. If it's working, keep doing what you're doing. When it stops working is when you start fucking around with other protocols, other, you know, adaptations. You know, a lot of people get pretty far with standard American diet with heavy fasting. And that's fine. That's how I lost my first 50 pounds. Is standard American diet with a shit ton of fasting. You know, constantly cycling through long fasts, going through ADF in some cases, going through just doing random 36 to 48 hour fast, 1 meal a day, which is rough a little bit on the standard American diet. So just do the best you can in the beginning. Watch the weight fall off. And as you get towards that lower end of that curve where your fucking weight just isn't dropping, that is the point that you should step it up a notch. And if health is your concern, if you're trying to reverse a bad health condition, you need to jump on the keto bandwagon a lot quicker, a lot sooner. Because you're not going to reverse diabetes with just fasting in the standard American diet. You're going to have to get rid of carbs and sugar to reverse diabetes, to lower your risk of heart disease, to get your blood lipids in line. You can get a little bit of progress with just fasting and doing longer fasts. But every time you are pounding that standard American diet, you are rebuilding the bad liver fat in your fatty liver, which is the root of most of these diseases. You'll probably double the time it takes just by fasting for these diseases to kill you and become a serious issue. I do agree with that because you're essentially cutting your exposure. You're halving the dose by fasting. But if you're just looking at a weight loss thing, then yeah, you can. I don't recommend that, by the way. Target your health and the weight loss comes with it. And, you know, you can get most of the way. So just do what works best for you in your lifestyle. It's better than nothing. All right? It's better than just saying, fuck it, this is too hard. So Big D also wrote, I'm 275 pounds, was 330 when I started. So that's a pretty nice weight loss. Keep it going. You'll get there. Just be patient. It's not something that you're going to do overnight. You didn't make all that overnight. You can make a lot of that back pretty quickly, but for the most part, you put it on over a lengthy period of time. Once you lose the weight, though, you can very easily put that shit back if you fuck up. So, Ronald Skolnick wrote, how do you combat hunger at night after your meal that breaks a fast? I always feel like eating more, especially at night. That is a hormonal issue. Yesterday, Ron is a patron on Patreon, so he's already read this to a degree, but yesterday was my eating window, so it's today. I do a 36-hour eating window. I haven't eaten jack shit. I had a couple of cheese curds right before I came on here, and I put some cream in my coffee. That's all I've eaten so far today. I'm not hungry even remotely right now. But yesterday, I was hungry as shit. I was eating keto all day. I actually documented it for next week. I'll put a full eating video out. But basically, your hormones are geared up for eating. And you need to let them do their job. You're not going to be happy about it. I'm telling you, you're not going to be happy. That you're going to think like you're overeating. And you may even put on a pound or two like I did. I put on 3 pounds yesterday. A lot of that's food in my system and water weight retention because I had a lot of salt and, so on and so forth. And a little bit of healthy body fat because we're not making the bad fat when you're keto. You're not taking the fructose and making the fucking shit that clogs your arteries, the LDL, VLDL, that gets all up in your shit and causes more insulin resistance. But you are going to store a little bit of fat when you eat, which is fine because you have full access to it when you're fasting. Fasting is the weight loss part of the diet. Keto is the refueling. When you fast, you have to refuel, and it's that constant refueling that will heal you over time. I didn't believe that at first. I was stuck in that rut that if I overate, I was fucked. If you overeat on a standard American diet, you're fucked. If you overeat on keto, you will find that the following day, today, I have a lot more energy. I'm going to get the fuck out there and do some shit tonight. I feel good. I feel ready to go. Yesterday, I was a lot more tired. And I had a larger appetite. Not tired in the sense that I couldn't function, but I didn't feel like going hiking or going for a walk or doing anything physical. I was sitting here working on YouTube all fucking day. So that's kind of, what you got to keep in mind when it comes to your eating window. Your job during your eating window is to fucking eat. And if you're ketogenic, if you're fat adapting or fat adapted and you're not cheating, you can eat as much as you need to satisfy your hunger. You will find, especially, it's highly dependent on your physical activity, how long of a fast you did, your hormones are going to want to swing that pendulum back. But the difference is with keto, they work properly. When they get to where they're going, you're going to see increased energy. You're going to see, a higher level of metabolism. Because if you're constantly just trying to keep your calories down after a long fast, you're going to slow your metabolism. You don't want that. You want your metabolism to ramp back up after a fast. And if you do ignore the fact that you're hungry, what your body is trying to tell you is, look, motherfucker, you burned all this fat off. We need to put some back. And if you constantly are saying, no, I ain't putting fat back, motherfucker, fuck off. I don't want to eat all this. Stop. You're eventually going to get to a point where your body's going to be like, all right, shithead. No, there goes your energy. Enjoy sitting on your ass. You might be able to force yourself, but that'll just throw you deeper and deeper down that lowering of your metabolism over time. And you can really fuck yourself metabolically if you do not eat properly, for first of all, not standard American shit, and you do not refill the energy that you burned off. And the more you do that, the more in balance you get. And I am starting to discover in my personal life, there's not a lot of science that goes into this kind of thing, that over time, my plateau level, my set point, so to speak, has dropped. I am seeing 180s. I used to never see 180s. I was lucky if I got down to 191. I am dipping my toe down into 186, 185, and that's only 2 pounds off of normal BMI. 184 is my normal BMI weight. Not that BMI should be a big measure, but I'm going to be happier than a pig in shit when I start regularly dipping my toe into the 184 range during my fasting windows. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So thank you for that, for getting me to talk about that, because that's kind of an important thing that I think gets overlooked with intermittent fasting is the whole, remember, it's okay for us to refuel after we fast. When you do a long fast, you're going to regain the majority of that weight back. The whole point of the long fast is to get your body utilizing your fat more efficiently, to heal metabolic damage, to get rid of wasted cells, to renew a lot of the tissues, including some of that brain fucking matter that we have, to increase our neuroplasticity. There are so many health benefits aside from just getting rid of your fucking fat ass. You gotta fucking keep that in mind, that's fasting is where we try and move the needle. Keto is where we try and rebuild, refeed, give our body the nutrition and the energy that it needs without tanking our fucking metabolism. Because when you do a long fast, your metabolism drops. And if you don't eat enough when you recover, your metabolism stays dropped or even gets worse. And then there's going to come a point where you just can't take it anymore and you're going to regain a shit ton of weight, especially if you're eating bad. I can't stress enough that the only way to get to this proper, your body telling you what to do properly, so you don't need MyFitnessPal or to count calories, you definitely have to listen to this motherfucker here, your stomach, your hormones. They're there for a reason, and they used to do their job really fucking well before we got stupid, before we thought we were smarter than our bodies, which is what's happened over the past century. We got to go back to let our bodies doing their job. And I contend in today's food environment that is a difficult job to do, but it is something we should be fucking doing. Oh shit, you guys are super chatting. Alrighty, Ron, thank you. I mean, it surprises me that my patrons, they regularly throw money in the tip jar when I do live streams. You guys are already tipping me when you do the sponsorship. So thank you, Ronald Skolnick, for donating to me and that really great question. Janie, I'm not seeing a question with your super chat or anything, but thank you for also donating and helping. This does keep me doing out. This might enable me to do more live streams and take more time and do more research and things to talk about for the live streams. Thank you, Joni, for your contribution today. I mean, I'm blown away when you guys do this. It's wow. And of course, Ron's making fun of me for kind of, I always get this way when people start, throwing money at me for just helping. But thank you for helping the channel grow. If we keep on track with this sooner or later, we will be able to make this a full-time gig to where I don't have to go drive Uber like I'm planning to do tonight, and I can spend more time with you guys and really communicate. And that's why I like these live streams too, is being able to communicate better, even though on YouTube it gets really rough to keep up. So, because you guys donated, I'll go ahead and stick around a little longer. How's that? We'll go to another, 15, 20 minutes or so, or till I run out of shit to talk about. So, let's see. I'm just going to continue where the chat left off. I do apologize. I feel like I'm missing people. I'm going back to look and see if I missed any really good, important questions. So no, I'm not seeing anything important. So just if I didn't answer a question you want to answer, just go ahead and keep, putting your hand up by reposting the question too. That's another thing you can do because it's hard to keep up. Cherokee Mickelson. Hey Scott, how do I break my 10-day water fast by staying in ketosis? Can I break the fast with avocado, almonds, or eggs cooked in olive oil? I'm female, upper normal body weight range. When you're breaking a fast and you're trying to go ketogenic, which is how I led this current keto adaptation. I did I think it was a 5-day water fast with occasional bouts of fat. When you break a fast, thank you, Tekka Chrono, for your contribution as well. When you break a fast and you want to transition into a keto adaptation, especially if you weren't doing keto beforehand, it is important to, like I just got done saying, to listen to your hormones, because what has happened during that long fast is your metabolism has started to drop. Around the 72 to 96 hour mark is when your metabolism will start to dip. Now, it's not a constant thing. It'll dip in cycles while you're fasting, and the longer you go, you'll find that you'll get those periods of reduced metabolism and then increased energy and so on and so forth as your body tries to struggle to maintain. But when you come out and you transition into keto, I have not found that any specific foods have caused me issue. I do know that if I consume an excessive amount of dairy fat following a fast, that I end up on the bowl, which I would argue is a good thing, because sometimes the ketogenic diet can make that a little bit of an issue if you're not doing it right. So I'm happy when, dairy-based fats send me to the bowl. So maybe I would say avoid, if that's not a thing, you're worried about sharting or something, you might want to stick to some of the healthier fats. As far as almonds should be like almost a cheat meal. I have drastically minimized the amount of almonds I consume. I've shifted more towards pecans, because pecans are very fibrous, 1 gram of net gram of carbs usually per serving. So, a little bit, if you're avoiding meat and dairy, then yes, avocado, coconut oil, and lots of greens, because you want to start replenishing some of your electrolytes. You want some bone broth, I think, following a fast, or some other way of getting your minerals and electrolytes that you've been kind of surviving off your gut microbiome during the fast. So now you need to start refeeding that shit. So that's important. Keep it small. You are going to get full initially when your first meal comes. You will get full pretty quick. But then you'll find that the next time you eat, in the next time, you might have a gradual increase in appetite. And when you're transitioning from a fast to a ketogenic diet, you want to consume, I would say, this is my opinion, more fat. You want to add fat to everything. Be very liberal with the olive oil, the coconut oil, the butter, the heavy cream, and, moderate amounts of protein. Don't get a big 12-ounce steak, 4 or 5 ounces of meat, and some leafy greens so that you get some of the magnesium and the potassium and so on and so forth. And listen to your body. Feed it. When it's time to eat, it's time to fucking eat. I know this goes against everything you feel in your soul when it comes to weight loss. And you shouldn't be in a hurry. You shouldn't calorie restrict at all if you're doing fasting with keto. Keto is time to eat. It's time to listen to your body. It's time to let your body know that it's in charge of your weight. The fasting is where you make the progress. The fasting is where you train your set point down over time. It's going to be a roller coaster of weight gain and weight loss, but each time you hit those bottom numbers, and I'm getting a lot of comments lately about people touching weights that they have not seen in their adult life. So that tells me that not only am I experiencing that, other people are doing the same shit and getting there. The fasting is where the weight loss, the tear down, the removing the bad shit out of your body, to cleansing, so to speak, a lot of the toxins and issues that are stored in your fat, to killing off some of the bacteria in your gut that may be doing bad things to you, so on and so forth. And then eating keto is replenishing. It's providing you new gut microbiota. It's providing your energy to rebuild the muscle. The tissues that were damaged and gotten rid of during the fast need to be replaced. And in order to do that, they need fuel. They need the amino acids to replenish electrolytes that may have dipped if you were not in a good dietary position to store a lot of electrolytes. You will find that you might have cramps and shit during a long fast. So basically, it's very important to wean yourself back up, but keto is definitely the way to go. I would steer clear of so much of the nuts, lead more towards fats and the greens with a little bit of meat. If meat's your thing, if you're one of them vegan ketos, that's a whole other story. Don't know what to tell you there, but as far as that's concerned, your first meal should be fairly small and will be satisfying. However, you will get hungry a lot sooner. You will ramp up that appetite, but it won't be like when you were standard American diet, because you would binge after a long fast. If you were still carb and sugar based, you can binge. You can be hungry and fucking hungry, and then you start fucking just shoveling that shit in. Alrighty. Dave Carell just wrote $10 for 20 more minutes. All right, but I think I got to cut it at an hour and a half, Dave. I'll stick around. We'll keep going. But, and thank you, by the way, for your contribution. You guys are definitely helping me today. I might not even have to work Uber tonight. So, yeah, we'll keep this going. You know, stay here I don't know anybody's going to watch this later if it's 3 hours long, you know. But, yeah, I'll do that, Dave. I'll stick around and I'll keep reading comments. And if I don't, if you're if the chat's going and you don't get through, keep reposting and see if I can spot it, and try and time it to where I'm, you know, starting to look over here and more and shit and read comments, and I will try and get to your comments. Fat Bike Mike Bacone, doesn't fasting maintain or slightly increase your metabolic rate? I heard that once in a Dr. Fung talk. Yes, it does in the short term. During the first 72 hours, you will have heightened energy, a heightened metabolic rate. Your energy levels will go up. This is the time when your body is saying, okay, we've got enough fucking, you know, energy on board. Let's go find more before it goes away. That's basically metabolically and hormonally where you're at during the first 72 hours. Your body's letting you know that, hey, you haven't taken anything in, but I'm not going to tank everything down. We're going to boost our metabolism a little bit so you can go out and kill shit and fucking go and get the food, motherfucker. That's what's going on during the first 72 hours of a fast. I would contend we naturally are only supposed to eat once every 24 hours. That is the sweet spot for our bodies. People might argue that with me, especially with this 3 meal a day bullshit that we've been taught in the past century. But your body during the first 72 hours is like, let's go. Come on. Get it out there. Let me sharpen your fucking mind. Let me get your goddamn shit going. Let me make you fucking ready to go out there and kill that fucking animal and eat it. Go find some goddamn nuts and fruits and shit and berries and shit. Oh, you can't find that? Well, you better get on the horn. Let me fucking heal your brain a little bit so you can actually pull the bow and aim the arrow just properly. Hey, here's a motherfucking axe. Go hit that fucker with the fucking go beat the shit out of that cow with it and bring back some food, motherfucker. It's time to eat. So that's the first 72 hours. And then eventually, your body's like, well, fuck, we haven't eaten in a while. And we're still burning all this energy. Glycogen stores are pretty much gone at this point, you know. We're losing some electrolytes because we just dumped all our fucking water weight. That was dumb. I don't know why we do that, but we do. Your hormones start going, your brain starts going, shit! All right, time to slow the shit down. You fucking worthless bastard didn't kill and eat anything for fucking 72 hours. Time to take it down. And you'll get hungry. You'll get really hungry during this 72-hour to 96-hour period. Because it's your last-ditch effort to say, okay, I can't keep this up forever, fuckhead. If you don't start doing some shit, we're going to either have to lower our metabolism and also maybe catabolize a little bit of lean tissue to keep our glucose stores a little bit higher than they are. And then we're eventually going to just throw on the brakes. This is the point where you will start to experience, and if you've done a 5-day fast, you will know that this happens. You will feel cold. You will have a lower energy level. You won't be ready to get up and get moving. You will notice a dip and a lack of motivation after the 72-hour mark. And that is your body saying it's putting the brakes on. And that cycle continues throughout the longer fasts. You will notice if you do a 30-day fast, and this is not personal experience, this is research talking at this point. I'm planning on getting there myself at one point. But you will notice that as you do the 30-day fast or longer, depending on your body fat levels, that you will go through this cycle. You'll have a period of low metabolism, and then every once in a while your body will ramp it up and give you the energy you need to go out and find and kill something. And then it'll drop again. And another place, a good place to watch this in action is Naked and Afraid, where they put the motherfuckers, the 40-day, 40-night shit that they do, where they put the motherfuckers in the wilderness with no food, no clothes and shit, and a couple of tools if they're lucky. And you can actually watch this happen to them as they document it over time. But you'll go through these cycles and you'll see them. They'll be laying on their ass all fucking day. They'll be like, and they'll be completely feeling like shit. A lot of them were carb burners going into it. There's been a few fasters, and they're usually frowned upon because they tend to live off their own body fat for the first part of the show. But you'll notice that it goes up and down and up and down. And the longer your fast, I do believe, the more spread out your energy spikes happen. But this is normal. And if you think about it evolutionarily, it makes fucking sense. It definitely is how we are designed. So I hope that answers that question. Continuing on. I noticed the chat has slowed down a little bit, which is good. Janie Bug, Keto Rocks. I weigh 117 at 5'4". I do 18 and 6 daily. And like I said before, whatever fast, just do it in the beginning. Just do enough fasting to move the needle. You don't want to overdo it in the beginning. You want to take advantage of the fact that the small changes have big effects in the beginning of your weight loss. So, you know, if you're getting by with 16 and 8, then do it until it doesn't work anymore. And it will. It'll stop. And then you move up to maybe the 23-hour fast, you know, where you only eat dinner every day, you know, 1 meal a day. And you do that, and you'll lose fuck tons more weight until it doesn't work. And then maybe you start doing 36s periodically. Not every other day. You don't have to go full ADF. But every once in a while, just don't eat until you wake up the next day. That can work. That can move the needle more. Then you start sprinkling in long fasts. 48, 72. And then, yeah, if you're inclined and you found the 72, maybe you want to push it to a 5-day fast. And then maybe, you know, and over time, you become more adapted to this. You become able to more easily do it. Now, keep in mind, this is all regardless of the diet you're eating. But keto does make it easier. If you're a fat-adapted person and you transition to using your own body fat using fasting, and you have no glycogen stores or very little glycogen stores to speak of, you're going to get into ketosis a hell of a lot faster with fasting than somebody who has 2,000 calories of glycogen on their ass. So start out with what works, and if you hit a snag, fuck with your protocols and fat adapt. those are the further steps when you get closer to your goal and you're really having trouble eking out that last 5 to 10 pounds. So, Dave Corral, that's you're Dave in MSP. I didn't even know that was you. See, the names aren't always the same, but thank you. He is one of our sponsors on Patreon, so he has definitely made a huge contribution. But thanks for coming by, Dave. I didn't even see if you posted any questions, which I don't think you did. I think you've just been listening. So you've been kind of just supporting me sharing knowledge with everybody, which is what a lot of my patrons have been doing, is keeping it so that I make this knowledge available to everyone. So, but thank you, Dave. Thank you a lot for everything you've done today. I appreciate it. I definitely do. And it blows me away, so. Sergio Noriega, could you elaborate a bit more on 1 meal a day? I contend, and if you look back to Europe and the way they used to eat, even after post-agriculture, you generally ate 1 meal a day. And if you look back to our hunter-gatherers, it makes sense. They spent the day hunting and gathering, hauling the shit back to camp, so on and so forth. And then sitting down at night, cooking all the shit that they killed, or, processing all of the plants or vegetables they may have found, or the nuts they found, or the fruits during seasonal times where they had access to fruit. And they stockpile it, they process it, they try and store some of it, and they eat. And once you get into that routine, and I did find it even on the standard American diet that this was the case, your body will generally start to get hungry around anywhere from 20 to 23 hours, probably largely based on your physical activity. That more plays into the amount of hunger you may experience. Prior to this, you were eating a bunch of times during the day, so your brain was like, it knows, it keeps track, and it's like, well, we eat every day at noon, so we better fucking start getting hungry at noon, getting ready, start priming the system. And then you don't eat at noon, and the hunger pang passes. However, once you're in the routine of fasting, and you do these daily 1 meal a days, warrior diet, short eating window, 4-hour eating window is probably the most liberal of the 1 meal a day, but honestly, you can probably eat your meal at any point during the day to where you're hungry. And I would suggest timing it if you only get hungry once a day, if you've trained yourself to only be hungry once a day. And then you just fucking eat a meal until you're satisfied. To a degree, if you're eating the standard American diet, you do need to be cognizant that you will not feel full in time, that you may overconsume calories. It is possible, and I've done it, to gain weight on 1 meal a day. If you're eating bad foods, if your hormones are out of whack, if you're still a sugar burner, you can overeat during that 1 meal a day. You can out-eat 1 meal a day, just like you can out-eat 16 and 8. It's what you consume that's important. But if you go keto and you eat 1 meal a day, you can probably never put on weight. You'll get a little gain at first when you switch from maybe a more aggressive fasting protocol to 1 meal a day. But once that's there, you will be hard pressed to eat enough food during your 1 meal to move the needle up. And you will keep you'll be able to be fairly liberal with the amount of carbs you're doing, because you can't 50 grams of carbs crammed into 1 meal, you're going to have a big insulin spike, obviously. But you're only doing it once per day, and the rest of your day is low insulin. And when insulin's low, you're not making fat, you're mobilizing fat. And during the fasting period, your human growth hormone is pulling them fatty acids out, is shunting amino acids to your cells. It's doing all of its job while insulin is low. And then you spike your insulin once a day by eating your meal, and you're only taking in 50 grams of carbs, so you're not filling up fuck tons of glycogen. So over the beginning, you know, if you get to that lower carb ketogenic lifestyle and you switch to 1 meal a day, I think that's the way we should eat for maintenance. You know, with maybe even a supplement of fat earlier in the day. If you, like me, you like fat in your coffee, you don't like black coffee as much. You know, I would contend in my plan, after I do finish my ADF experiment, which is a long-term trial of ADF and keto to see what happens, where I level out. Does it get me where I'm going as far as weight loss? Does it get me to the lower 180s or upper 170s even? I'm supposed to weigh 175 allegedly. I think I'd look like stick and bones at that point. But, you know, when you get to that rhythm, 1 meal a day is definitely should be, I think, the default. It should be what we normally do, and where, you know, fit, our diseases are gone, or we reversed our metabolic issues, and we're just ready to sit down and say, okay, I've done the work, I've lost the weight, I've reversed the diabetes, I've gotten off my blood pressure medications, my lipid profile is normal-ish, depending on how doctors are interpreting your shit. Some of them aren't on board yet. And, you know, I'm cancer-free. I've got all of these things under control. It's time to just eat when I'm hungry. And I only get hungry once a day, really. And if you've been fasting a long time, you know the difference between the mental and the physical hunger. So, yeah, 1 meal a day should be the default way we eat. Alrighty. Big D, I never tried keto. How would I start? What are keto foods? Keto is more of a macronutrient background, but you want healthy fats. Butter, avocado, coconut oil, olive oil, it qualifies. You know, healthy fats. A lot of the fats that we've been told not to eat. Eggs are a big staple for me in the ketogenic diet because they're very nutrient dense. They're very satisfying, and you can prepare them in so many different ways and give them so many different flavors that it does prevent a lot, you know, give you a lot of variety. But the important thing is training your body to utilize fat for fuel, burning off all the glycogen so that you're not building back up your glycogen stores, so you no longer have to fast through those or exercise through those to get access to your body fat. That's the principle of keto. It also normalizes your hunger hormones. And I would highly suggest, because there are tons of food lists, you know, other than me listing them all here. You know, actually, since we're here and I have some time, since you guys wanted me to stick around here, we'll do a ketogenic food list. And let's see what we got here. Oh, look at that. There's even a Ruled Me, which is probably a big blog, but you can find tons of these online that tell you roughly what you're supposed to, the kinds of foods that are allowed, you know, and just keep researching this stuff, you know, the kinds of fats. There are fats to avoid. And the majority of the fats you want to avoid are heavily used in fast food. They're heavily used in the restaurant industry. You do not want vegetable oil, canola oil, or any of these oils which are not natural oils. They're all processed shit that we are not able to metabolize efficiently, that cause inflammation and all kinds of other issues. So when I say high fat, I mean high healthy fat. You know, not donuts and sugar and fat, you know, that fat. You know, lard, tallow, old school and shit. Hey, look at that, what we were doing in the 30s. You know, coconut oil, egg yolk. I've never really tried this one, egg yolk. That's interesting, because that's where all the nutrition in your egg is. You know, all them assholes taking the yolks out of their eggs. Well, they're actually taking all the nutrition out of their egg. Olive oil, avocado oil. I've never tried oil from avocado, you know. Butter. I use butter a lot. I'm a big butter fan. Heavy cream isn't on here, but that is a big source as well. So, you know, it lists the fat and it emphasizes fat. This is where 80% of your calories should come from on a ketogenic diet. But you don't necessarily have to eat 80% once you're fat adapted. Whatever fat you miss out on, your body fat is going to supply the nutrition you need at that point until your weight is on the lower end of things. And then you might start tanking your metabolism here and there. Protein. That needs to be moderate. So you get all of this shit, the fish, shellfish. This is fun here. This is my favorite part of the diet. I'm a meat eater. I love fucking meat. Vegans right now are twitching and veins are popping out of fucking foreheads while we're looking at this. But don't overdo it, because if you overconsume protein, your body will make glucose. A lot of people haven't figured this shit out yet. I get constant comments from vegans that are like, you need glucose to fucking survive and shit. Gluconeogenesis, it's a thing. Your liver will take excess protein, convert it to glucose, and which your body will burn a little bit for energy, but the majority of the glucose made from gluconeogenesis is going straight to your glycogen stores, usually in your liver. And that's to keep your glucose levels at a level to sustain, normal brain function, as far as whatever the ketones aren't doing is filled in with the glucose. And there are some organs in the body that require only glucose to survive, kind of like cancer cells, now that I think about it. So yes, overconsumption of protein, not a good thing. 4 to 6, ounces of meat with your meal, and a lot of fat. And then, your leafy greens. If it's green, it's probably okay. Bell peppers are a little bit high, but, you see all the carb breakdowns. Onions are really high, so you got to be a little bit more sparing with it. For fruit, you got blackberries and raspberries and blueberries to a degree, and strawberries are also good, but very moderate on the fruit because you can't overdo it. But as long as you keep it all under 50 grams, you are definitely good. Thank you to Serge Noriega for your contribution. He said, thanks for elaborating on OMAD. Thanks for enlightening us with your research. No problem. And thank you for helping me make this channel a full-time career choice, hopefully, at some point, and continuing my realm, my delve deeper into nutrition and health. You guys are definitely helping me that. But get on there and find the food list that works best for you. Here's the dairy products. This is my favorite, also. Next to me, I love meats. I love dairy, and I'm fairly tolerant of dairy, though I do know that I can overdo it. And these are a lot where my snacks come from. When I snack, I'm not snacking on nuts so much anymore. I do have some nuts. Like, for example, this is one of the things. Hold on, let me put this shit on the screen and light it properly. There we go. I get this shit is my desserty, snacky, maybe at the end of a mealy type thing. And it generally has 9 grams of carbohydrate with 7 grams of fiber. So that's 2 grams of net carbs, which is the total you're going for, because fiber sits in your gut, feeds your gut microbiome. But, you could eat this whole fucking bag and only get, what is it, about 13, 14 grams of carbs in this whole bag. And I have occasionally, this one's empty, you see. I have occasionally eaten the whole fucking bag. But I keep that into my carb count. I know to, tone down the rest of my carbs for the day on days when I do that. You do get a little bit of carb action. You just kind of got to estimate this as you go, but it's kind of easy because you're not getting anything more than 5 grams of carbs. I generally count each thing as 5 grams of carbs or more. And if I'm eating out, I overestimate. I'll put a 10-gram carb budget on a meat dish, especially if it has any kind of flavoring added to it. So, mayonnaise is kind of an iffy thing too, because a lot of mayonnaise is made with vegetable oil. If you can make your own mayonnaise, that's a thing. I find looking for mayonnaise made with olive oil is the safest route for mayo, but you put that in there too. And I like to have tuna and shit. Now, nuts and seeds, you want fibrous nuts. You do not want carby nuts. Peanuts are not in this category. Peanuts are not even technically a nut. They're a legume or whatever the fuck you pronounce that. I would steer clear of the ones at the top here that you see are higher grams of net carbs. And I would favor the ones down here because these are very fibrous. You know, pecans. You can flavor pecans all kinds of ways. I've taken dark chocolate mixed in artificial sweetener, which is stevia erythritol, melted the chocolate, threw a bunch of fucking pecans in there, unflavored, unseasoned, or whatever, and ate it like a little bowl of chocolate cereal to me, you know, and very satisfying. You're getting a good omega-3 to omega-6 balance in pecans. And macadamia nuts, I believe, also have that good omega-6, omega-3s. And we're not getting into the omega-6, omega-3, but just know that these are more balanced with the types of fats you're getting. You get a lot of omega-3s from fish, from grass-fed animal sources, which, to go back, if you're worried about optimal health, you do want organic, grass-fed. And I just realized I wasn't showing you all that shit. There's the nuts. Let me go back down to the nuts. So yeah, these ones down here are the important ones, and these ones up here. Sorry about that. My bad. And then you come up here, you know, for the meats, you want grass-fed. Same thing for the butter and animal fats. You want grass-fed. I don't even know that it's is important about organic. You want them eating fucking grass, all right? And that's because that changes their fat profile to an omega-3 fat profile. When they're corn-fed, you're getting an omega-6 fat profile. And we are way overloaded on omega-6. For optimal health, you need a balance of omega-3s and omega-6 fats, you know, to be optimally healthy. But I would contend that you can get most of the way there and live to your 80s, 90s with minimal issue, even if they've been feeding them motherfucking cows the corn. Maybe not all the antibiotics, but that's another story. We can get into gut microbiome at some other point. I'm still kind of a noob when it comes to the gut biome because it is a very complicated system, but it is a very important and integral part of our health and our nutrition. So, let's see. Lukas Petrowski Wooski something. I'm sorry, I butcher names and shit. Please make a short video, Keto plus ADF, why so powerful, or something, so we can just send fuckers a link to it and they get a fucking idea. Maybe some kind of list of the top 10 benefits. What do you think? And you're right. I should make some more easy to consume summarization of the shit I talk about for the too long didn't watch crowd that has permeated our Facebook society and stuff that can be shared. So you're right. There are a lot of videos out there of that nature. It's probably why I shy away from it, because it's easy to find those kinds of videos. Here's a good YouTuber I find that kind of sums up the science in a more consumable way than maybe I do even. I've just recently started following this guy. Hold on, let me bring up his shit so I can plug him appropriately. Where is he? Here he is. And he does that kind of shit. Hold on. Yeah, the goddamn commercials and shit.
Hey, look, I'm fasting.
So, this guy right here, Thomas DeLauer, I've recently started watching his shit, and he goes into the biochemistry and science, and he does it in the, I look fucking great here, look at my fucking six-pack real quick, look at my big bulge and muscles and shit, I've mastered keto and fasting, and this is what you get to look like at the end of it. So I don't agree with that part of it, because, you're giving kind of people the wrong message when you're flashing your abs and your pecs and you're flexing and you're doing all of that. In the meantime, giving good information. So, yeah, I like this guy's information. I don't necessarily, not 100% happy with the way he presents it and the imagery, but he is very well produced. He is an established, he's done this for celebrities and fitness. And so if bodybuilding's your thing, he probably gives you a lot of non-bro science-y things to do. So, like I said, I know I should do this shit too to try and bring more people on board, but this is kind of not my niche. My niche is to try and present this shit and try and be entertaining and fucking funny when I present it, or just get triggered and go off on shit. And that tends to be my niche in this field. So, you know, I didn't just realize I didn't put that up on the screen. That's his channel. Thomas DeLauer is, you know, one of the YouTubers that does that kind of shit. And of course, you know, there's plenty of YouTubers that do that. I'll try when I get time. But quite honestly, I'm usually researching and then I get triggered about the research. So then I want to talk about it, give my opinion on it, and so on and so forth. Technochrono, Scott, do you know any of the people who play sports while fasting and keto? How well do they play? Talk about 2 to 3 hours of activity here. I do not know any fat adapted athletes personally. I have seen a lot of anecdotal reports. I've watched some documentaries. I've watched a lot of that. For my personal experience, when fat adapted and performing endurance style activities like long hikes and so on and so forth, I don't seem to reach muscle failure nearly as quickly or exhaustion at all. I'm able to do 8 to 10 hours of hiking. I'm usually sore at the end, but energy-wise, I don't skip a beat. I don't bonk when I do those activities, but those aren't necessarily heavy aerobic activities. There was recently, hold on, I'm going to try and bring that up now. So you guys bring up some good shit. Let's see. Wrong one. Fat adapted row. Hawaii. If I spelled Hawaii right. Okay, recently, let me bring this up. A couple, completely fat adapted and ketogenic. You can find this at fatchancerow.com. They, with the backing of scientists who were tracking their shit, and this guy likes to track his shit and monitor his blood glucose and his level and his energy requirements, performed a record-breaking row from California to Hawaii on an advanced motherfucking rowing ship, completely fat adapted, eating a ketogenic diet. She does not eat animal products, but though she allegedly dipped into some fucking cheese at some point, she was a raw foodie. He became ketogenic to increase his athletic performance. And the two of these motherfuckers rowed in record time, beating out several other rowers who were carb burners, and managed to go from California to Florida as efficiently as possible. And from what it said, she was integral, and they were both very integral. There were times where he was inside resting and she was still rowing, and both vice versa. They kept that shit up. They were able to adapt, and as such, they did not bonk. You can, if you're a fat adapted athlete, make yourself bonk proof. And for those of you who don't know what bonking is, that's when you hit the glycogen wall while you're exercising. You burn off all your glycogen, and then you have a energy crash. You can even pass out. It's significant. And any marathon runners that may have experienced this, that have to gel and do all of that shit to help replenish glycogen while they're going, because you only store 2,000 calories in the motherfucker. So as you go forward, you will be able to, continue your endurance activity while being fat adapted. Now, as for performance for bodybuilders and strength trainers, There are fat adapted guys that have delved into that, but as I said, I don't in my personal life, although I would love to get my friend on board who loves running and does marathons and does all of the biking and stuff. And he does a lot of fasting and a lot of fasted runouts. He does claim he does not need to gel during these events. So, but I would love to see him fat adapt and do it and just see how his times and performance may increase, and it might give him a leg up over his carb burning counterparts. But it's an area that I obviously personally will never really get into other than long hikes. I do someday want to try the Appalachian Trail, and I'd like to do that fat adapted as well. So, that's kind of where we're at. Thank you, Richard Bowers, for your contribution to today's lovely, incredibly lengthy live show. Thanks to everyone really being happy that I'm here and helping support the channel. So I appreciate you for helping me stay on here longer. All right. Let's see here. I feel like I missed something important. Let's see. Rafael Santos, what do you think is the best oil for cooking? I usually use coconut. I have been seeing around that olive oil isn't good to cook, as it most halfway through gets rancid and heat is screwed up. Honestly, I prefer butter. And that's pretty much what if I'm cooking, I prefer butter. Olive oil is regularly something when other people cook for me tend to use with me. I am picky when it comes to that. I like excessive amounts of butter. I like to melt like a big liberal dab of butter. And if I'm cooking fucking eggs, there's going to be a fuck ton of butter. That butter's going to be like in the bowl with the fucking scrambled eggs if I cook it. So I use butter. I would say, if you're vegan, obviously you're not going to do that. But butter, lard, those two, I believe, are the best. They're going to give you the best flavor. They're going to give you the best, overall consistency. But, coconut oil, I've never really cooked with it. I've had it, but honestly, I don't reach for it when it comes time to cook. I guess just the thought of butter is appetizing to me. And I crave it. I like butter. I add it to everything. If I have a steak, there's butter on that motherfucker. I tend to use olive oil more towards the salads and the dressings and that kind of stuff. And you make your own. You add your own flavor to, olive oil and, and so on and so forth. Some vinegar and shit and olive oil and make your own dressing and shit. But, yeah. Add your favorite fat from the list, and cook with it. Can you overdo it? Can you get in that cart? Just don't overcook your food. Don't burn your shit. Don't burn it. That's the big thing. If you're cooking with a certain type of fat and it's burning, you need to try and find a fat that fits more with the way you cook, that maybe won't burn as easy. So I missed some comments there, so if I missed you, go ahead and repost a question if you had one. Tech Chrono, thanks for answering. I'm a heavy compound lifter. I also play a lot of full court basketball and love how I perform with fasting and keto. It's nice to see others that are fat adapted. And I should probably take Thomas DeLauer off of my screen, so y'all don't just go and watch him and leave me out here in fucking YouTube dust land. So anyways, that's what happens with this live show shit. I don't get fucking on the point here. Scott, Roman Graham writes, Scott, had a checkup at the doctor's the other day, and doctor chewed my ass about being keto, says it's dangerous and bad for my kidneys. So how's that doctor's always being right worked out for everybody? Your doctor might not be on board. Now, not so I don't get sued. I'm just an asshole on the internet. Ultimately, you should do your research and figure out if that doctor is right or wrong. In my opinion, if a doctor was telling me that, I would go look for another fucking doctor, because that doctor, in my opinion, might not know what the fuck he's talking about. And you're going to encounter a lot of pill salesmen, which is what I call those types of doctors, who are not going to be on board with a ketogenic diet, not going to be on board with carbs. Some of them are going to be vegan evangelist doctors who will fucking totally anything meat-based is bad, when there are processed meats that are bad. I'm not looking to ring that fucking bell right now, but, you know, it comes down to your faith in your doctor. What has he done for your health? What has he done to improve your health? Has he treated the root cause or the symptoms of your health? You have to evaluate your doctors. You have to put them to the test. Go into your doctor armed with the scientific study and say, well, if it's bad for me, what about this, asshole? And put them on fucking blast. Put them on edge. Say, look, asshole, this is my body we're talking about here. And I want proof that what you're saying about my kidneys is significantly a thing. Because I would argue the way our kidneys have gotten fucked up is sugar, not fat. Kidney stones, all of that shit. Not good. And when you're going keto, the first thing your kidneys do is dump your water weight. I would say that flushing your kidneys is a good thing. But I'm just an asshole on the internet. I'm not a fucking expert. Do your homework and go into your doctor and see how knowledgeable he really is about these things. And then if you don't agree with that doctor, find a doctor who knows his shit and quiz his ass. You should be asking questions. The days of listening to your doctor say, I am God and you will do what I say or I will smite thee and take away your pain pills. Those days should be fucking over. It pisses me off when doctors power trip and think they know everything when it is clear that over the past 40 years that doctors have fucked us just as much as every other fucking industry. Whew, triggered. Woohoo, bring it down a notch. Holy shit. So, doctors are not taught nutrition. Very few are even taught the endocrine system and how your hormones work and how your metabolism works. Some of them, I would argue, completely failed that course in fucking medical school, but they aced the goddamn what pill to give you. Here you go. Oh, you got fucking heart disease? Let me give you some fucking statins. Yeah, how'd that work out? How's the statin thing going? So, sorry, I got a little triggered there with the whole doctors thing, because it pisses me off when they fucking do that. So, Jody Henry wrote, my doctor is keto. Find you a keto doctor. That'd be my advice. Find a doctor who does this shit and knows the power of it and won't pill you up. Naturopaths, probably a thing. You know, some of them are vegans. You know, find the one that agrees with the way you want to live your life. That way they can best advise you on how to do so in a healthy fucking way. Keto, Ronald wrote, keto is mistaken for high protein. It's not, it's high fat. You have to eat lots of protein for it to be dangerous to your kidneys. And that is a true story. Keto is not Atkins. You know, Atkins can be keto, but keto is not Atkins. Protein in moderation. 20% of your caloric intake should be protein. Not 40%, not 50%. Fat does not affect your kidneys in a negative way. Healthy fat. Sugar fucks your kidneys to no end. So, you know, you need to, your doctors aren't on board yet. The healthcare industry is not on board yet. Nutritionists aren't entirely on board yet, but they're starting to wake up, as we saw earlier with the news articles. They're starting to fucking wake the fuck up and do the right things. So, you know, that's my passionate plea about doctors nowadays. And I try myself in my personal life to keep my ass as far away from fucking doctors as I can. I don't get sick. I go in for a checkup once a year. I go in there knowing that my doctor doesn't know jack shit. I get the numbers. I get the blood work. I take that home. I go online and I find out what those numbers really mean from the doctors that I believe are on board and current in nutrition and endocrinology. And I say, how do my numbers fare healthily within the paradigm of keto and fasting and the real legit biomarkers for metabolic disease? Because if you go into an uninformed doctor with keto lipid profiles, they're going to say, your cholesterol's way up, you're going to fucking die. They're going to ignore the HDL triglyceride fucking ratio. They're going to say your LDL is up while not distinguishing between the small, dense LDL and the bigger, fluffier LDL, which is a significant thing. And LDL is a horrible biomarker and predictor of heart disease. The HDL to triglyceride level is a more important one. And if you're doing keto properly with healthy fats, your triglycerides will be low and your HDL will be high. And your overall cholesterol will be high. And we've been beat to death with the cholesterol thing. And there are shit tons of doctors who haven't fucking woken up to the fact that cholesterol is not a good biomarker for heart disease. All right. Whew. Wow, that one took a lot out of me. All right. And you guys are on board. Ron wrote, keto is mistaken for high protein. It's not as high. It's high fat. You have to eat a lot of protein in it for it to be dangerous to your kidneys. Technochrono wrote, they get almost no training in nutrition in school. They also don't get further training while practicing. And that's true. Doctors get trained on pills. That's what they get trained on. The pharmaceutical industry is giving talks and shit on what pills fix what. Nobody is fucking going into your hospital and setting up a goddamn conference to talk about nutrition. Those conferences are growing, and as frustrated, pissed off doctors who are watching patients come into their office healing themselves instead of letting the fucking doctors do it, the more of that happens, the more times you go into your doctor and say, well, you're saying this, but this is working for me. I feel better. All these other profiles, here's some science disputing your, facts. And you go in there and you put them on point, and enough people do that because they're going to ignore one motherfucker. I mean, I'm smarter than you, motherfucker. I went to middle school. Shit. I know my shit. You don't know shit. But if they get like 20 people, 30 people coming into their practice going, look, I don't think I want to, I don't want to give you my fucking deductible anymore, motherfucker. I'm going to find some other motherfucker because I find all this shit out there, all this knowledge, and you're contradicting all of it. And I haven't gotten better that much under you, but since I started doing these other things, my health's gone up. The more of that goes on, the more the medical community will have to change their tune, and I think we're starting that. That process is starting, but as of right now, there are not a lot of doctors and nutritionists who are caught up. A lot of them are still in the eat less, move more, count your fucking calories bandwagon while ignoring the detrimental health effects of sugar and fructose and carbs on somebody that's insulin resistant, and they're feeding diabetics shitty diets and pilling their ass up to compensate and keep their blood sugar in check, meanwhile ignoring the insulin resistance and the making of the bad fats from the sugar they're eating, which are increasing their insulin resistance, and so on and so forth. So we just got to kind of wake up to the fact that the medical community is just now starting to realize, oh shit, there's some smart fuckers coming in here, and if we want to keep taking all of their fucking paychecks, we got to monetize this good health shit. Let's develop a pill that does what keto does, and let's develop a pill that does what fasting does. Let's develop a diet, Dr. Walter Longo, that you can go out and buy all these fucking little pre-thing meals that you can fucking heal on, and we'll do that and shit. Because if they keep doing this, we're going to lose a lot of money. I'm going to have to get a smaller house and car and shit, and I'm just not fucking going to do that. So maybe I should go to this next fucking health conference and learn some shit. Whew. All right. Let's see here. 707-947. This is to personally thank Scott for disclosing this and show us the paradigm changing in development. And, you know, that's kind of what I want to do on my channel, is point this shit out and be like, look, motherfuckers, enough is enough already. I'm tired of watching people I care about get sick and die and continue to do the same stupid shit because they're being told by media and government and fucking doctors to do the wrong shit. And they're not going to listen to some asshole with a beard on the fucking internet. They're going to listen to their doctor. But, you know, it's the people that are waking up, that are becoming free thinkers, that are trying this shit on themselves and seeing it work. Those are the people that are going to go in and change the doctors' minds and make them fucking get on board with the proper way to live, eat, to improve our health and get rid of these fucking diseases that we didn't have 100 years ago. Or they were minimal, or we didn't get them till we're 80 or 90. I'd much rather have this shit happen then. I don't need to live forever. I just don't want it to happen in my 60s. And I think I'm pretty much have changed my life in a way where it's probably not going to be how I die. Might get shot in the back of the head while driving Uber, but I'm not going to die a long 20-year death where I take 10 fucking pills to manage all my mental and physical health issues. So... let's see. Atheist priest counting calories is a shitload of fuck. Atheist priest, the internet, a tool which was made to push their sugar agenda, is also the same tool that's biting them in the ass. And as long as the internet remains a free speech arena, that will be the case. I'm a little worried about that free speech arena because there are some big corporations and advertisers at the helm of some of our bigger, you know, search engines and shit. But I don't want to get all political here, but I just want to say that we need to keep an eye on the internet and make sure it remains a place of knowledge sharing, free from regulation and free from censorship. So, well, I did 2 motherfucking hours and shit. Once again, I want to thank the following people who made me stay here 2 hours because I was only going to do an hour. Ronald Skolnick, of course. He is one of our producers over on Patreon. Janie Bug, Jody Henry. If some of you are Patreon, some of your names aren't the same, or, you know, so on and so forth. Plus, I don't have the list in front of me, so if I screw this up, let me know. But Dave Corral, Technochrono, Jody Henry, Janie Bug, thank you for your contributions today to help keep the channel going. Dave Corral especially, who is Dave and MSP, a sponsor on Patreon, which means he gives $50 a month on top of this. And he is a big supporter of this channel, and I thank him for coming and for keeping me talking and keeping me going. And, you know, I can't appreciate enough his contributions to the channel. A lot of my contributors do so not necessarily expecting much in return. They want me to just do this shit. They want me to be here talking to you guys and making this shit possible. So all of these people, Sergio Noriega, thank you for your contribution as well today. Richard Bowers, all you people that contribute on Super Chat that don't necessarily contribute on Patreon, you too are an integral part. And you're making me do more of these live streams and to do them for longer. You know, sometimes directly by saying, look, motherfucker, here's a bribe. Stay longer, motherfucker. So, yeah, I understand. And thank you all for coming today and making this a very productive show. The questions you've been asking are on point. You've got me going. There you go, Ron, again. One for the road. Have a great weekend. So, thank you again. You guys are blowing me away today. This has probably been the most I've ever gotten on a live stream in one day. So thank you again for everything you guys have done. And for those of you who don't contribute, believe me, you still contribute. You watch the shit. You comment. You keep me thinking. You keep me accountable. You make me learn just as much as I pass on to you. And you passing on your experiences, your weight loss, your questions, the things that you encounter, all of this contributes to this community of people trying to fix themselves. And to be a part of this is probably the most fulfilling thing I've done in my life. And I've lived a fucked up life that was probably worth a shit 20 years ago and 10 years ago. You know, I didn't make a good contribution to society then, but I feel like we all are making a contribution now as we spread this fucking knowledge out like a virus amongst us. And we filter it out to people who need to hear this shit from time to time and need to hear it from more than one place, more than one person, more than one news source, until we get more people on board with this shit and reverse the fucked up life we've been leading, because we've been fucking up. We have been. We've done fucked it up. We thought we were smart fuckers and we fucked this up, so it's time to turn it around. And I also want to thank all the scientists and researchers who are out there doing the grunt work while not being funded, because food industries aren't going to fund this shit. Governments aren't funding it. Most of these scientific studies and shit are either crowdfunded or self-funded. And I do believe crowdfunding can take the research to the next level. So my encouragement to any researchers or scientists who are trying to find the science behind this stuff and get it out to the world, get out there and find. We're out here. People are out here and they're ready to pay you to do the research needed to prove these things without a shadow of a doubt. And I do believe crowdfunding, knowledge sharing, and these communities that we're building out here in YouTube and Facebook, in the internet in general, and Reddit, all the blogs that are out there, I think we are building this shit into a movement that will ultimately benefit our health and longevity going forward. And history might look back at this time now and say, this is where it started. This is where we fucking righted the ship. Because we need to right the ship before our kids get sicker and turn into sicker adults and our life expectancy drops to the 50s. I don't want to see those days. It went down this year. Our life expectancy has dropped from past generations. There's going to come a point where parents outlive their children if we don't do something, and our healthcare industry is going to collapse if we don't change our health. No matter what fucking legislation we put in place to take care of our healthcare system, it cannot weather the storm of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, which we have increased steadily for the past 40 years. So, that's enough of that shit. Ketogens, how many max hours have you fasted for? This is the last question, by the way. The max hours was 5 days. However, 5 times 24, whatever that is the max amount of time. I do plan on doing longer ones, mainly next summer, because I want to do a long fast in the wilderness and document it and film it and so on and so forth. So I've done longer, 5 days is the max. And I should do longer. Maybe I will need to do a 7-day next time. Maybe that'll be on my list of shit to do and see where I end up afterwards while being fat adapted. Maybe I'll come back from my vacation where I plan on fucking up a little and lead off with a 7-day fast. That might be something I do after Thanksgiving. I think I need to get Thanksgiving out of the way, and then maybe a 7 to 10 day fast to follow that. So stay tuned post-holidays. Thank you guys for all for coming. For those of you who stayed the entire fucking 2 hours, thank you. I hope I provided some knowledge or food for thought or some kind of help motivating you to continue with your journey towards weight loss, better health, and better blood lipids, and telling shitty doctors that you don't want any fucking more pills. And I'm signing off for the weekend. Next week I do have lined up a day of eating video. I've been running around this fucking thing, taking pictures and video of the things I've been eating. My eating window is going to be over tonight, and then I'm going to do another 36-hour fast, ADF in full swing, and that's where I'm at. So thank you guys again. And I appreciate all of you for coming out. Now I'm going to roll my motherfucking credits if I can find the motherfuckers. So I'm just going to sit here and talk randomly for a few minutes while I should have had this prepped, because I'm such a great live show fucking producer that I didn't fucking have this queued up and ready to rumble. As I continue to do this, so talking boringly. This will be the point most people turn it off before they bother to read the credits, so I understand that. Let's see, no, we need intros and we need motherfucking credits and intro. It's gonna play. I don't want it to play yet. Alright, now, thank you. And remember, I'm not a fucking expert, even though I sound like one. I'm just an asshole, a very opinionated asshole. And do your research, Google shit, find what works, test it out on yourself, so on and so forth. Find a doctor who knows nutrition, metabolism, endocrinology, hormonal shit. Talk to them about what you want to do, the knowledge you've come across, if you have severe health issues. But it's up to you. You know, don't let me tell you what to do. Increase your knowledge, learning, and then make your decisions. Once you have the knowledge to make an informed decision, that's when you should decide to do these things. So, have a nice motherfucking day and shit.